Unsocial media. The house at the edge of Sedge. And broken hearts.
I'm a very croaky Bomber Webb.
And I'm a voiceless Christopher Olsen.
And you've been listening to This Week. No, you're not listening to it. You're about to listen to it, aren't you?
I think you are listening to it.
Oh, you are listening to it now.
You may have stopped
the
now,
edge.
though.
A very, very important announcement. This week in Sedgeville.
There it is.
Alrighty.
There's this great video which I sent you, and admittedly I haven't watched. I've only heard people, my family, describe it, of this male penguin who it seems like there aren't a lot of these emperor penguins around in this colony. I think that's what you call them.
Yes, yeah.
And then evidently a lady who's charming him, everything like that.
A lady penguin.
A lady penguin. Yes, not a human, from what I hear.
Yes.
And she just kind of missions off, checks on penguin things, and then another lady penguin comes along and tries to charm him, and they encounter each other. These ladies, and
they slap each other.
They slap each other. They penguin slap each other.
I mean, look, I'm a great penguin fan.
Yes.
And I do not condone any violence against penguins.
But that's all right.
Because she deserved it.
Whoa.
I mean, you have this innocent view of this male penguin doing this noise.
That was pretty good.
Crooning with this female penguin, and they do this little shuffle, and it's like almost a Beyonce dance. Like and they look like they even put their beaks together. Disney made it into a heart shape.
There we go,
that's Disney.
That's all I got in my head.
This was not in a heart shape, but it looked like they were in love. And then this other female penguin waddles up.
What?
And starts putting her beak between them.
How?
And
How
like some wanton hussy. And of
the
course,
penguin
the other female is like, no, dude.
None of this.
None of this.
And
And they absolutely slap each other with those slap. They're made for slapping, aren't they?
I think so. They're certainly not made for flying.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually help that much during swimming, if we're honest. Well, maybe they would. I don't know.
I don't know. But they certainly help for slapping.
Here's the Sedgefield link, though.
What's that?
My kids watched that video yesterday with my wife, and then my daughter, who's 5 years old, Zaira, she said, man, she loves penguins. The next toy that she wants to get is a penguin. And lo and behold, that afternoon, we head off to just one of the second-hand stores.
Okay.
And in there is a little plushie, like a squishy kind of teddy baby penguin.
Oh, wow.
That we picked up for like 15 Rand.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was providential.
Providential.
Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I was very happy about that. So there we go. There's our start of our week in Sedgefield. We've already had a few things that come out. It's edition week, so there are a bunch of those stories.
Yep.
But let's first talk about one that isn't in the Edge, and that has to do with the old, slightly dilapidated, I think I can call it that, building that's at the end of the main service road as you head out of Sedgefield towards Nysa. I think everyone knows the building that I'm talking about.
Yes,
that Cape Dutch goodness.
Cape Dutch thing, yeah. Well, this news broke last night. Now, this is a trend.
Yes.
What happens is I get the newspaper off to the printer. I start delivering it, and then a good news story breaks.
Another one,
so there's nothing you can do about it.
That's how it
goes.
But
it really is, and it's a building. It's a video that's on Facebook that's been shared.
Yeah.
And the estate agent Amanda Dippenaar from South Coast Real Estate is kind of starts the conversation. She's standing with our councillor, Levale.
Yeah, Ward 1 councillor.
Ward 1 councillor. And she says they've had so many inquiries about that building.
Yep.
And I have had countless people popping into the office. You've even expressed an interest.
I did.
Everybody wants that building because
I followed that rabbit trail
to
kind of fall apart. And so it was tied up in a whole bunch of things. I was messaging Cleone. I was calling departments.
Yeah.
It's just so tangled up. And it kind of the last where it stopped for me was calling national government. And when you reach that point, one of those departments, it feels like it goes out into the void.
Yeah.
So I was like, Okay, I think this is probably
done.
about as far as a lot of people. But I thought one of the best uses for that building would be a skills school.
Yeah. Well, look, its original intention, was a house, obviously. But when it was built,
After that.
It was bought by the Department of Health a few years back, quite a few years back. And it was going to be used to station ambulance staff.
Yeah.
So I think we have talked about this before, but basically not as a hospital or anything like that, but a place where ambulances could be parked and the ambulance team, the paramedics, could have a few hours sleep until they got called. Because it takes a long time for an ambulance to get from Neisner or George to Sedgefield.
Especially if they're having a sleep on the way.
Yeah. Yes, they have to stop for a nap. So that was the basic plan, but as we know, the budget ran out, and so it just became an empty building.
Yeah.
It was used after the Neisner fires
That's
to store
right.
a
That's
lot
the
of
last I heard from you
donated
about
stuff.
it.
So the new plan is at last to have a education center.
Yes,
I think
an adult
education
an adult
center.
basic education and training center.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
I think that's what it stands for. ABET.
ABET. Yes, yeah. Adult Basic Education and Training Center. Yeah. So they're going to do it up. They're looking for the community to do it up. Obviously, they've got all their permissions in place.
Yeah.
But they're asking. They said make such a perfect place, and I agree with them.
Yeah, it's incredible
to do lessons for young people who've finished school but still need more education and training.
And some of them haven't finished, haven't got their matric, and they struggle with that, but they're kind of returning to that in adult life, knowing that it would help them in their career.
Thing. Yeah. Absolutely. So they're going to do up the building. They've organized a meeting for the 15th of May. I don't know what.
May.
Yeah.
That's pretty soon.
Soon,
that's next week. Okay, 15th of May. I want to go to that.
Yeah, I think full details will have to come from Livell.
I'm going to be giving him a shout.
Give him a shout,
Definitely will do.
But basically, they want it to be a skills center. South Coast Real Estate have donated 5,000 rand to start the refurbishment off. But they're going to need things like fencing, materials, paint, security, and that sort of thing. Yep. And they're going to need people with skills.
That's it.
Plumbers, electricians, fencers, not the ones with the swords.
Oh, okay. I was hoping that would be very exciting.
They're talking about doing something like opening an account at Build It.
Build It, yes. That's pretty cool.
So that people can donate money towards the scheme or buy stuff towards the scheme.
Say, hey, do they need this? What do they need? And then you go ahead and you buy it, and then we build it up. That is so cool to think of it as a community project. I love that idea.
And even just having that building painted and the garden done up
makes a difference.
It's just going to make a huge difference. Yeah. So that's a great story to start off with. I have to say, we should have said it at the very beginning.
We should have.
I'm rather croaky today. I've got a bit of a sore throat, and I noticed that you're the same.
Yes, I am. So I was talking way too loud in music lessons that I was giving earlier. I was very excited about music, and so I may just go silent halfway through.
Oh, you've worn out your voice.
Yes, so everyone just listen for hand signals. From me, and then you
watch this space carefully,
and you can interpret in croak.
Yes, I will. I will. Yeah.
And for once, it won't be your phone.
Because
you actually did put it on silent, which is really good. Hey, let's talk a little bit about phones and social media. This is something that we wanted to pick up on last week, and we kind of ran out of time.
Yeah.
But it is something that has a massive, massive impact across the globe, and across cultures, across countries, across age groups. But we see one area that social media really impacts people is the youngers.
And you've done a few classes on this, haven't you? A few presentations on this.
Yeah, I have at Neisner Primary, and I did a nice one here as well in Sedge. And there's a lot of interest and a lot of intrigue because this is uncharted territories largely. I mean, kind of my generation. I'm in my 30s now. We were the first ones who started getting this device thing with us as children, and then and now we didn't have any training in it because we played Snake on it. That was kind of the extent of it, and SMSs, and eventually mix it and all of that. Yeah. But now it's just become something completely and vastly different.
And the point I often make about this is that parents have no training in this, you know.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
I've always said that I knew how to rear my children because of how my parents reared me. So there's things like, you know, I remember my parents saying, don't put your elbows on the table.
Yes.
And I don't know where that law came from,
Yeah.
but it's considered bad manners. And then I would say to my children, don't put your elbows on the table.
Yeah. They put their feet up. Yeah.
Make your bed. Yeah. All those things that we inherit from our parents on how to bring up our children.
That's right.
But social media,
we have no idea. It's
absolutely no idea.
It's so unlike all the other things that have happened through history. And while there's really nothing new under the sun, this is just really like an inflammation of it. It's compounded. It's absolutely massive how much it affects.
And it's the scary thing about it is it's not just about things like manners and that sort of thing. It really is getting into the brains of children, isn't
that's
it?
Exactly
it's having such a... I mean, we've talked years and parents have talked for years about, my child watches too much TV and stuff like that.
It's on a different scale now, yeah.
Had the level of impact on a child's mind and behavior that social media has.
Yeah. So you've got the founders of something like Facebook, who, and this isn't Mark Zuckerberg, but guys who are alongside him very, very early on.
Yeah.
Sean Parker, who did Naps, they did a bunch of these guys. And they say in interviews, and we've got these, they're saying, well, what we did is we wanted to manufacture something that would use as much of people's time as possible. They wanted to socially engineer this and make it as... attention consuming as possible, and they said we had no idea what the impact that would have along the line, but we did it anyway. And they said do it, and these were the morals that were kind of set up around it.
So they're setting up to take up people's time, so the people aren't the customers, the people are the product.
Oh yeah,
aren't they?
Yeah. No, that's it. When it's free, you're the product. That's where you're paying. You're paying with actually one of your most valuable asset that you have, and that is your attention, and that is your time.
Okay.
And that's why Google, that's why Apple, that's why all of these guys, Microsoft and whatnot, they are incredibly wealthy, more so than the oil moguls. Your data, your information, your attention is way more valuable than the stuff that we're putting in our car. The petrol that we're putting in our car.
Wow.
Maybe you're putting gold and other things in there.
Yeah.
So it is. It's incredibly valuable. And the research had to be done, obviously, as it was getting bigger and bigger. And we saw people, and it was a joke at the start. You know, I'm a Facebook addict, and it was all fun and laugh.
Yeah,
I love being on there, and it's so great.
Yeah.
Because it gives you these little dopamine releases in your brain, right?
Yeah.
The feel-good chemical that we get from chocolates, that we get from being in love.
Okay, yeah.
So
Cup of coffee.
That's it, yeah, a whole bunch of those. So we get those.
So a little like will cause that little spike.
Well, not just the little like, everything from the way it scrolls, the sound, the animation, how it shows up, exactly
so it's designed for that.
There is a very, very clever algorithm that runs that based on the things that you've liked and that have looked at how many seconds you've spent looking at a post, that will be used to construct what they believe, what they know will occupy your attention and your time more, to take more of your time. So it knows, well, you know, you've looked up something about a baboon or a penguin, then you must really be into cute and fluffy things. So it'll show you something else that you will like. And that leads you on that train. And suddenly you look up and it's 3 a.m. and you haven't eaten for 2 days. So that's the kind of joking side of it. But what the research started and said, well, what impact is this actually having? Is it all right? And then it was back and forth for quite a few years. There were even theories that saying, well, it's actually not that bad. We see these effects, and I'll get to what the effects are. That it could have just been potatoes and people eating more potatoes. That's what it comes from. So there are all these different research things. I know it's a super random one, but they were just saying, well, is it really causing this? And this thing that it is causing, that we know unequivocally, empirically, research-based, is that this kind of social media use causes anxiety, causes depression, and can cause suicide.
Wow.
Yeah. Especially in teenage girls. You are
goodness.
when you're scrolling, when you are in this restful state, you are your most persuadable.
Wow.
When you're at rest, and you scroll and you look at it,
you're at your most persuadable.
Yeah. So you are most likely to be persuaded into something that is shown to you.
So now, we've spoken in the past about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
We were going to do one of us likes and one of us doesn't
it's
thing,
true.
and then we decided not to because it became a little bit too sensitive.
Yeah.
But I've often wondered because I have met with people who think the opposite.
Yeah.
To me, about this Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I wonder how on earth they can think that.
And we're sitting here saying the same thing. Yeah.
That's it. So that's it. So if they, for example, looked at something and spent time looking at something of him, say, doing something good, then the algorithms would make them see more and more of him doing good.
Yeah.
And likewise, if they saw him doing something bad, blah, 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 blah. So we've got that explains that.
An ideology that goes along with it. And from this, one of the great ones, and I'll go this one quickly because I know I could talk at length about this. One of the really interesting ones was the Tourette syndrome. Have you heard of Tourette's?
Yes.
Which is kind of made fun in the movies of just screaming out random cuss words.
Yeah.
But it also, it mostly exhibits itself in little tics. These are little squeaks, little jerks, little things like that. And there was at one point a TikToker who had tics. I think she was on Instagram, TikTok, one of these social media things where you've got these short videos that do nothing good for your brain, by the way. But there was just suddenly a whole lot of them. And you had these influencers who had Tourette's, and people would follow their journey because they couldn't get jobs, they struggled to sleep, all these things.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, globally, it started in Germany though. You had hundreds. You had pediatric wards for teenage girls, again primarily, who all of a sudden, with no previous pattern of this behavior, suddenly were exhibiting Tourette syndrome-like behaviors. So it's I can't remember the full name of it, but a social kind of disease. And these come and go. But there are, and the guys who head this up, like Mark Zuckerberg, sat in front of Congress in the US and was asked directly why. And this is, I think, one that I'll end with my final conclusion on it. He sat there and he was told that teenage girls would go on Instagram, the research was done, and within 4 or 5 kind of clicks and following along, after not searching for it, they would be shown self-harm or self kind of deprecation, hating yourself. Man. Because that's what the algorithm does. Yeah. That's what their patterns are kind of leading them to looking better, I don't look good enough, and then more and more and more. And they said, you knew about this, right? And he's like, no, we know that you knew about this. We have the email discussions of how you didn't care about it. There has been human trafficking through the site, unchecked and just left to go. So I'll stand on this one, just saying that Facebook, in particular, who owns our WhatsApp and Meta and all of these things, these are really evil guys. Can I give 2 sort of things before we move on? Because I think I've spoken about it a bit much now.
What I wanted to do is actually challenge you.
Yes.
And say, it feels like we're just scraping the first layer of paint off this.
Oh, man, yeah.
I'd like to say, can we do an in-depth dig into this and maybe do a separate podcast?
Oh, I'd love to, yeah. And our listeners out there, if you do want to hear about this more, I know I'm chatting at Neisner Primary School. I had previously, I've got about a 3-hour talk that I do. And I know, and I've tried to squeeze it in an hour before, and there's just no way. There's the role of persuasion, games, device use, all of these things. There's more and more research coming out now, but we're actually, it's all coming together. Yeah. My 2 bits of advice, and one I'm going to be quite strong on, is just know that when you are going onto your phone, you are trying to be persuaded of something. If you realize that someone is trying to persuade you, your guardrails are up a little bit more. Just be conscious of it, and know that you are modeling behavior as well to your children and to others. That phone is making you dumber. It's making your attention worse. It's all of these things. And the second one is that, and I think this is one that we've discussed before, that a phone isn't a right. You don't
That's it. Especially to a teenager.
Exactly.
It's
and
a
to
privilege.
A child.
Yeah, to a child.
This is a tough discussion
in other words,
that I have. Yeah.
When you give your child a phone, give it to them with rules in place rather than giving it to them and then later on saying, well, I'm going to put some rules in place.
Yeah, that's it. And scaffold use. You wouldn't. I don't think anyone here would take their child to the middle of a very busy city with a park with a bunch of random strangers and no fences and just drop them off and leave them there and go away. No one would do that.
That's a very good analogy there.
When you just give a phone, another great analogy, last analogy, I'll keep saying last, it could also be being dropped in the world's best sweets and candy and chocolate store and not giving any rules and any direction on that and expecting them to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the difference. If they were in that situation and they went and they just ate themselves stupid, well, they would feel the diabetes, they would throw up, they would get sick and all that. But with social media
and they
use,
would stop, basically.
They would stop. But with social media use, they do not stop. And they often don't know how to stop. They even know, and I've sat with teenagers who have said this exact same thing. This is the research, and I've seen it as well, that they can't. They know that it causes their depression, but they can't stop.
They can't stop.
They can't stop.
I've noticed myself over the last few years that I'm reading far less books. I love to read books, but I'm just not finding the time.
That's true.
But let's move on.
We've got to move on.
I think we've got to do that in-depth thing. I look forward to that. I think it'll be a huge help.
So let's jump over to should we speak a little bit about Lake Unpleasant? I think we can speak about one or two
Lake
things.
Unpleasant.
Unpleasant.
Hopefully it's Lake Pleasant now. Yeah, there was an article in the paper. It has been
very funny,
before.
by the way.
Oh, thank you. Basically, what was happening was the little sewage pump station at the bottom of
Fraser.
Lake Pleasant Drive, basically,
right.
which comes off Fraser. So in the Groenvallei area, was just overflowing time and time again. And the people, I met a few people that that lived right there. And they couldn't even open their house windows.
That's awful.
The stench was so bad. They were really worried about their health. They kept informing the municipality.
Yeah, but
and nothing was being done. They had site visits. They even got hold of the Garden Route District Municipality.
Wow,
because
okay,
they
to that extent.
See, they monitor health things. So if there's a shop that's breaking health rules or that sort of thing, the Garden Route...
That's a strategy.
But the Garden Route District Municipality, all they could do was inspect and say, okay, this is wrong. And then they get a hold of Neisner Municipality. Who's in charge of the infrastructure, and say, you've got to sort this out.
Yeah, please, for goodness sake,
So it wasn't getting sorted. It wasn't getting sorted. Last week we had a meeting. The problem was the pumps. The pumps that pump the sewage from there where it gathers. Obviously, people's pipes are all connected. Not people, their homes.
Oh, okay.
Their pipes are connected to that. And then it's pumped up to the sewage treatment plant somewhere else in Sedgefield.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you exactly where because people will start going and having picnics there.
Right.
So the pumps weren't working.
Yeah.
So it would overflow out the manholes there and sit in lakes. Oh, man. Lakes of poop.
Oh, come on.
Pretty
now.
damn
Come
nasty. So hope you're not listening to this having a breakfast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so last week it was mentioned at a public meeting and the municipal officials assured us pumps are being, the repairs, the parts have been acquired. Yeah. It's going to be fixed by the weekend. Monday came. Monday was day 50 of this problem.
50. Oh,
day
that's what.
50.
She had
That's
the
what
board.
the lady
she
had on the sign. Yeah.
I think it was Tessa
So Tessa House. Yeah. So day 50, still nothing had been done.
Sure.
And they were just they just didn't know what to do anymore.
Hurtful.
And then I was pushing the municipality for an answer as to why this hadn't been done.
Yeah, because they said they were going to do it Monday. They said they were going to do it
So day 50 arrived. Day 51 arrived. I think Tuesday was day 51.
Yeah.
And I was actually on my way there
Yeah.
to take a picture.
Oh, yes.
And I got a call from from Tessa Koos, one of the ladies.
Yeah.
She was there with a few of her neighbors. There was 2 municipal people there, and they were fixing it.
Right
on time. What was wrong was the starter.
For the photo opportunity.
The auto starter on the pump had been faulty.
And that's it.
And they
took 51 days.
Shame. The 2 guys there were, one of the 2 guys, the guy in charge was saying they're so short-staffed.
Yeah, it's out of his hands. It's not his. Well, I would think. I mean, I don't know the whole story, but
he basically was saying that people hadn't been replaced. We know that the municipality has a lot of key positions that need filling, and that was the problem. It had been but anyway, it's been sorted.
Seems resolved.
I hope. Well, we hope so.
Okay.
The proof will be in the smell of the pudding.
In the smelly pudding.
Yeah. So hopefully that's a good end to that story. Okay.
Yeah, I really hope so. Hey, a very cool story that happens every year round is the blanket drive that you guys do.
Yeah. It's just it's an annual blanket drive the Edge has. That's started now because winter is upon us.
Always.
We have people bringing blankets along. Some people buy them at the shops.
Oh, nice.
Some people have old, blankets that they don't use anymore. I don't want to say old, because it's
they mustn't be gross.
They mustn't be gross.
Still
in a reasonable state. I mean, clean. It doesn't matter if it's a little worn, as long as it's not full of stains and that sort of thing. Because we do want people to have dignity.
Yeah, absolutely.
One lady who donated the pictures in our paper, she crochets blankets, I think, all
those
year
are the best.
In the nicest, brightest of colors.
That's awesome.
And I can imagine it must give you extra warmth if it's in these lovely warm colors.
Whoa.
Beautiful. She does.
That's a cool sentiment.
She donates piles and piles of these things every year. Wow. So Edge officers, please drop them off there if you want to take part and help people stay warm.
That's it. That'll be very, very good. Okay, just one or two quick fire things because we'll speak about...
Are we running out of time?
Yeah, we're totally out of it. So I'm just going to throw in our last two little things for now. First is to mention that there are the melodrama auditions, and you got the dates for that, do you?
20th of May from... I think it was 6 until 10.
Or something like that. It is in the Edge.
It's in the Edge,
check it near the end.
It's a great fun thing. If you're looking to make a lot of new friends and have fun, there's quite a bit of work involved. Rehearsals involved. The show normally goes on late August.
Yes, I think it's August, September in the article.
But it really is good fun. Get involved. I don't think you need buckets and buckets of talent. I think you need the ability
to show up,
the ability to put yourself on stage and have people laugh with you, not really at you.
Maybe a little
You're
bit
miming songs, you're maybe doing a bit of a dance, depending on what talents you have.
Always good fun.
It's really good fun, and it raises a huge amount of money for charity.
Makes a massive difference in our community. And last thing's a big well done to those heartbreakers. The Sedgefield Pick and Pay Eagle Stars. Well done on their victory. The B team and the A team, or second and first, they both won their matches. That is fantastic to read. Stoked about that.
We're talking rugby here, folks.
Oh, right.
They both beat the Happy Hearts rugby teams.
I'm so glad they did.
Oh, so did I. So was I. Oh my! I watched the match.
You watched it. You said it was good.
It was heartbreaking at times because at times
it was close.
It was close.
Those scores were, I think, it was 24-22 for the B team.
For the B side and the A side. The A side was 32-26, but it was close.
That is very close.
At one stage, that the Happy Hearts were coming back big time. I think they scored 2 tries within a few minutes.
That's all it takes.
So they were really going to.
Exciting.
It was lovely to watch.
Oh, well done to them. And hopefully we'll get to the next game. I missed this one. I went to one ages ago. Well, not that long ago, but those are brilliant to watch. It is such good rugby, such a good, good one over there. Okay, but that does it for us for this week.
Yep. So it's good night from me and good night from him as well. Yes.
There goes our voices. Thanks for the chat.
Thank you.